Well, hi guys, welcome to this Moneycontrol live stream. Important macro data to watch out for today. Q1 GDP data will be, unveiled later today in the evening at 5:30 p.m. So, what should one be watching out for, and where is growth headed from here? Well, let me bring on board, my colleague and executive editor of CNBC TV18, Latha Venkatesh, to put into perspective what one should be expecting. Latha, the expectations this time around are ranging from 7.5% to 8.5%. It's a wide range, but what about CNBC TV18 poll? What is it throwing up, and which sectors are expected to do well this time around?
Well, the poll is throwing up pretty much what the Reserve Bank's forecast also. The Reserve Bank's forecast is 8%. Our poll threw up 7.9%, which is not very different. We must remember that these forecasts are wide also because GDP is that kind of a number. You know, everything from the nanny who comes home to take care of children to a production of bombers or agarbattis, everything has been given a price and you're trying to bring it into one number. So you must expect wide variation. 7.9 comes over 13.1% year ago, same Q1. Q4 for comparison was 6.1.
Right.
So you may want to call this better or worse depending on what you're comparing it with. The sector that will do well, okay, a gross value added number is what people look at. Gross value added basically is, from GDP, you take away taxes because that is not value addition. So if you take away taxes and add subsidies, you will get GVA, gross value added. It's basically, you can use either terms interchangeably. And gross value added is expected to grow by 7.7%, and that again compares to almost 12% year ago, and about 7%, 6.5% quarter ago. What is going to contribute is agriculture. And you may wonder why, because the Kharif is supposed to be a little dibbly-dobbly. What you count in agri here is the Rabi,
which has been fairly
amount
strong,
which comes in April and May into the kitty. That was strong. So that's going to be about a 4% plus. You know, I've got 4.4, 4.5, but 4.1 was my average. And the other sectors that are expected to do well are construction, and that we can see all around us. And trade, hotels, transport, communication, and broadcasting. Now, I'll keep coming back to this category. It's the biggest category in the 8 subdivisions that make up the GDP. Weightiest. It's all services, Udupi hotels, ST buses, just anything.
Service industry.
Is the service industry. That's expected to grow at 12.5%. So those are the things that will bring home the 8% number.
But is there any scope to for the number to surprise on the upside? RBI, of course, estimated or forecasted Q1 GDP to come in around 8%. The consensus estimate, as I said, 7.5 to 8.5%. But can we go higher than 8.5%?
Well, higher than 8 is a distinct possibility. And I'll tell you why. Because the bulk of economists still say the economy is weak. Now, if you put 8% growth to last year's actual GDP number, the actual GDP number is about 37.3 lakh crore. If you add 8%, you will get a number of about 40.04 lakh crore. Now, 40.04 lakh crore is a good 7.5% less than the Q4 GDP, which is 43 lakh crore. Now, always Q1 is lower than Q4 because Q4 is all some winter months, 31 days in Jan and March. March people are, finishing off their targets. It's a very strong quarter. But April, too many holidays in April, as you know, there is Good Friday and Mahavir Jayanti and, so many holidays. And plus, June, it starts raining in Kerala and all, it starts raining on June 1st. So a lot is lost. There is very little construction as you go to the southern part of India. Cement is not produced, and sugarcane crushing is all over by March. So it is traditionally weak. But 7.5% weaker, if you go to pre-COVID times, the output is less by about 2%, 3%, even 4%. But 7, 8% is a post-COVID phenomenon. The COVID year, it fell by 30% because that was the lockdown quarter. The year after also, we were down by about 17, 18%. So people are factoring in that trade, hotels, transport, communication is not at the pre-COVID mojo. And therefore, you are still 7.5% lower than Q1. And that's why that 8% growth number. If they are all wrong, and if trade, hotels, transport actually surprises on the positive, because there's very little data on that. It's services, there's informal sector. then it's quite possible you will get an 8.5.
Right. So, but then even though we'll come closer to or top that 8% mark, we shouldn't really be celebrating just yet.
That's my point. That's what the
Right.
economists are pointing out.
Right.
That, we are still not at the pre-COVID mojo. So it is not a celebratory number. Even if you get, say, 8.3 or 8.4, we shouldn't be jumping too much in joy.
Yeah.
Several factors are still, like even manufacturing is one that people are going to watch. It's not really, for all the Make in India noises, back to its pre-COVID mojo. And so with consumption.
Right.
That is a number which people are very worried. Even in the fourth quarter, which, we got a 7.2 fastest growing economy. We were going with a poll of 5.1 and the actual number was 6.1.
Yeah, 6.1.
But
That was
what was consumption? 2.8.
Still lagging behind.
Yeah. So, that is a number people will watch.
Let's talk about the monsoons, Latha. Of course, a dry August will be a cause for concern. And you're saying that agri growth this time around is expected to be strong on the back of strong rabi crops, right? But deficient rainfall will impact kharif crop, right? So does that mean that agri growth could see some bit of slowdown in the coming quarters, or how do we look at it?
I would worry. I mean, the weather experts tell us that September will make good to some extent. But there is a worry about not just the Kharif crop. Kharif crop, perhaps we will still sneak through with maybe the rice crop in Andhra and West Bengal not being as good, because those are the deficient areas for rice. But the water reservoir levels are a good, in some places 30% lower.
Yeah.
And for all India average, I think, is about 20% lower. So if you're using reservoir for Kharif, then your Rabi crop could be hit.
Yeah.
So this big 4.1% is our poll forecast for Q1 may not repeat in subsequent quarters. And a second thing that might hit is if the Rabi crop is lower and rural prosperity is not what we would like it to be, then consumption will fall. So this private final consumption expenditure, which already people are bemoaning is not good enough, could get hit.
Right. And any other numbers that you'll be watching out for aside of personal final consumption?
Well, one trivial number, I mean, because it's only more a mathematical effect, would be nominal GDP.
Right.
What the NSO, the National Statistical Organization, actually collects is how many cars were sold, and therefore you have a price.
Right.
But the price is, that number, revenue number, will include both price and volume. So what they do is they deflate it.
Okay.
They remove the price effect. Now, they remove the price effect depending on the wholesale price index for a large number of commodities. Only for about 40% they deflate it with the CPI.
Okay.
But the WPI has been negative for a better part of April, May and June.
Yeah.
So this time, normally you have real GDP plus inflation. So nominal GDP looks very good.
Yeah.
It is 11%, 12%. This time it will be only as good as the real GDP.
Right.
Maybe even lower. So that's a trivia. I mean,
right. I think that's the expectation then. 7.9% is what the CNBC TV18 poll is throwing around. But of course, we can expect some surprises on the upside.
An upside surprise.
Right. And of course, we will be getting you a chat with some experts at 5:30 p.m. once the numbers come out. So don't forget to join in for that. But with that, Latha, thanks a lot for taking our time and putting things into perspective as to what one should really be watching out for from the GDP numbers. With that, it's a wrap from me and Latha. Thanks a lot for tuning in. But for all your other news and updates, stay tuned to Moneycontrol.
How do world leaders view India?
I've long believed that the relationship between the United States and India is will be one of the defining relationships of the 21st century.
The bright spot of the global economy.
The growth rate for India, which is 6.8 in 2022. Let's not forget, this is one of the bright spots in the global economy right now, such a high growth rate.
The potential of India is enormous, and you have now a reformer, a radical reformer, who has the ability to transform it.
On the verge of a big transformation.
इस अमृत काल में हमारे संकल्पों की सिद्धि हमें आजादी के 100 वर्ष तक ले जाएगी.
A magnet for investment.
I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world.
The world is bullish on India. Moneycontrol is bullish on India. Join the campaign. Tweet to us with hashtag MC Bullish on India.